Hello, my name's Osha. I like talking about American presidents, and today I'm going to be discussing why President Trump has recently been going to war. Of course, on February 28th, 2026, just a few days ago, joint Israeli and U.S. forces executed um, a decapitation strike, killing the uh, supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and about 39 other, military leaders, military and government officials in Iran. And of course, that has precipitated a war, an ongoing war. In any event, I've done other videos discussing, uh, you know, uh, things that may have led to that. But today I want to discuss why President Trump has, chosen to go to war, uh, or why he's executed his most recent military strikes and, the rationale behind it. Um, in his first term on January the 3rd, 2020, President um Trump um, took out through a drone strike an Iranian general, Qasem Soleimani. And the explanation given was that he led uh, proxy groups that were terrorists and attacked, Americans, and it was also preemptive strike to forestall a terrorist attack being orchestrated by the Iranian general Qasem Soleimani. Um, that was just a few days, yeah, yeah, that was. So interestingly, what I was going to say interestingly is January the 3rd, on January the 3rd, 2026, about, so 6 years after, military special forces invaded and captured the Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, and you know executed a rendition, bringing him to America, where he's facing charges in New York for narco narco trafficking, for drug trafficking. He and his wife. Um, Similarly, last year we saw U.S. military, striking ships, boats of alleged narco terrorists. On December 25, 2025, Nigeria, which is my home of national origin. I'm an American citizen. I have to put it out there in this age of ICE raids. I'm an American citizen, but not, I'm associated with Nigeria because I have family there. And so on December 25, 2025, US Tomahawks, I think that's what they call them. I don't get into the details and specifications of the weapons, but US missiles struck um, struck Nigeria, the Islamic capital of Sokoto. It's a historic site, Sokoto, and incidentally, it struck a place, Offa, which is not it's not an Islamic site. Offa is actually I'm affiliated with Offa because that's sort of my hometown. Um, so it struck that place, and President Trump's explanation was that that there were terrorists who were killing Christians, right? But the thing about these military strikes is that in Nigeria, what I can say is that the terrorists uh, who uh, who perpetrate these kidnappings, right, victimizing innocent Nigerians, they often, what they do is when they kidnap their victims, they take them into their enclaves. They're blindfolded. So it is likely, there've been no accounts, no details, but it is likely that these random indiscriminate strikes at so-called uh, terrorist enclaves uh, probably have kidnapped victims, and so they probably were killed as well, in addition to any terrorists that might have been killed. But in any event, so the pretext for striking, and of course, when the explanation, of course, the reasons are still um, being disclosed, and things are still unfolding with the most recent strikes on Iran. The main reason, though, is to prevent Iran from creating uh, or possessing nuclear weapons. That's the main reason for striking Iran right now. I'm not going to get into the reasons, whether they're valid or not. But what I wanted to point out is an interesting point, that many of these places that have been struck, including Somalia. Somalia was also struck, with missiles last year. These are nations that have strategic resources. They're rich in resources, including Somalia. By the way, Somalia is currently one of the poorest nations in the world, because um, it's been ravaged by decades of civil strife and conflict and civil wars, right? Ongoing conflict. However, Somalia is one of the most strategically located places in the world. It's located in the Horn of Africa and has the longest coastline. Its coastline is it's very close to the what's called the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb, which is the Gulf of Aden. It's an intersection of the Mediterranean Sea and the Suez Canal, which through which a major portion of the world's shipping passes through. And of course, many foreign powers seek uh, control and presence in that area, right? In fact, Somalia's neighbor, Djibouti, is site of a U.S. military base, and just 6 miles from it, China has its only foreign military base, right? So China has a military base in Djibouti, right next to Somalia. Now, Somalia is also has a strategic partnership that it developed with China in 2024, September 2024, for bilateral, for China to invest in its infrastructure, in trade, and provide defense and infrastructure. Since 2024, China's invested about $1 billion, right, in Somalia. Now, Somalia, apart from being strategically located at a major nexus of global shipping, right? Um, Again, it has the longest coastline on the Horn of Africa, right? It connects, it's access to the Indian Ocean, the Gulf of Aden. Um, Apart from that, Somalia itself actually is full of very rich mineral resources. It's just been recently disclosed that Somalia actually has undeveloped um, oil reserves, and natural gas. Apart from that, it has what are called rare earth elements, minerals, including lithium. So rare earth elements are very strategic components for manufacturing in electronic devices, defense systems, including laser, medical imaging devices, uh, you know, for powering batteries, batteries that we use for electric vehicles. I've talked about, defense systems, for aviation, and, smartphones, basically for manufacturing electronic devices, well, which is a big deal. We're now living in the high tech age. So these rare elements are what are used for manufacturing, the tech and the robotics that we use today, that the advanced world uses. So that's very important. Somalia has all these things, not just Somalia, Nigeria as well. that very area that was struck, Offa, has gold, right? That's where I'm from. Offa struck, Offa has gold. It's rich in gold. The area around it is rich in rare earth elements, and Nigeria just became a major producer. It's now it wasn't Nigeria didn't develop its mining industry, even though Nigeria has these rare earth minerals as well, because Nigeria is a major oil producing nation. Nigeria is in the top 10. Nigeria has amongst the top 10 largest oil reserves and natural gas, right? I think Nigeria is the second largest uh, um, uh, has the second largest deposit of natural gas in the world, in the top three, thereabouts. So Nigeria has these vital resources, strategic rare elements as well. And that very area that these missiles coincidentally struck has gold and these rare earth minerals as well that just started being developed. Nigeria is now in the top five producers of these rare earth minerals. I think it started producing in 2024, it produced 2024-25 produced about 13,000 metric tons. The largest producer of rare earth minerals is China. China at 270,000 metric tons. The next second largest is the United States at just about 43 to 45,000 metric tons. So you see, these are very vital for uh, producing missile defense systems. Again, for electronic devices, robotics. They're very strategic. They're very vital. Smartphones, electronic vehicles, wind turbines. They're very, very vital. And Somalia has these deposits as well. Now, the other important thing is, and of course, Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world by far. It has oil that can last for a millennium. The world's oil is being depleted, but Venezuela has oil reserves that can still last for a million for about 1,000 years. Um, Iran has the third largest proven oil reserves in the world. Um, and of course, Iran is, I've done videos, just talking about the brain power of Iran in its scientists. Of course, Iranians are determined to to develop nuclear, a nuclear program, although its claims are that it's doing this for peaceful objectives, right? For peaceful purposes, for civilian energy, right? But in any event, it has these very brilliant scientists. Now, something else apart from the resources of these nations that have been struck by President Trump recently, apart from their access to these strategic resources, right, that are vital to growth and development and the future, right, is that these are all significant trading partners of China, the biggest purchaser of Iranian oil, right? Given its sanctions from the West, from America, the European Union, um, the biggest um, buyer of Iranian oil is China. China buys 90% of Iranian oil, right? And the biggest buyer of Venezuelan oil was also China. So uh, the biggest trading partner of Nigeria, which has oil, which has these rare earth elements as well, it sells them to China. The biggest trading partner of Nigeria is China. China, again, as I said, entered into strategic partnership with Somalia. Somalia was actually the first nation in East Africa to recognize the People's Republic of China as a nation in 1960. And since then, they've enhanced these bilateral agreements and trading agreements and defense agreements. So China, you can see, as an alternative to its base in Djibouti, it would like to have a footprint on Somalia's longer coastline, right? Somalia has a very long coastline, and already there, but because of years of civil strife, there are mines there. So China has an agreement with Somalia to demine, to remove the mines that have been used for the long civil strife and conflicts that have ravaged, the nation and sort of prevented its development. Ironically, even with all its strategic location and its vast deposits of rare earth minerals and of course of oil and all the vital resources that can make it very wealthy, that's made other nations very wealthy. Um, Somalia focuses on livestock, right? Raising livestock and providing livestock to the GCC countries, to the Gulf, to the richer GCC countries. That's the GCC countries. That's Gulf Cooperation Council. That's Saudi Arabia. There's six: Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman. Um, I normally can't. When I want to name all of them, United Arab Emirates and Kuwait, right? Kuwait, I think I've named the six of them. So the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, the GCC countries, those are the six, they're six Arab nations that are rich in oil. And of course, most people have observed that, well, Iran's strategy has been to attack the bases that America has in these GCC countries, right, all over the Middle East, and to disrupt the economic activity there. And people think, well, this will disrupt the flow of oil. I've been noting analysts on TV saying it will disrupt the flow of oil to America. Actually, only 12% of US's oil comes from the GCC countries, comes from that area, right? The Persian Gulf area. Just about 12% of America's oil comes from that area. 62% of America's oil, over 60%, comes from Canada, right? So, and of course, America also has um, vast reserves of oil itself. And of course, in America, the objective is to actually de-invest, move away, divest from oil, move away from oil. But of course, the GCC countries have about $2 trillion invested in the US. So, disruption of their trade, can be or will affect the U.S. economy. Now, in terms of, I probably should do another video talk about the economic impact. I was going to, I've started doing videos talking about the consequences of this war. So I won't focus on the economic impact right now. But regardless, what I was going to say was, it looks like indirectly is America baiting China, because um, America has been striking and bullying, going to war with China's strategic partners that are sources of raw materials for its vast manufacturing empire. China is the biggest manufacturer in the world. In fact, China, as of the last time I checked in the CIA World Factbook, which became defunct as of February 2026, China had the largest GDP in the world. It was ahead of America. America now has the second largest GDP behind China. So China is a manufacturing and production powerhouse. And so I don't know if, the goal of President Trump is to disrupt China's leadership, in trade and manufacturing, and corral its trading partners, sort of bully them into dealing with America. President Trump did say that, well, he wanted Venezuela to divert its oil to US instead of China. Of course, Venezuela had been selling most of its oil to China, but with the blockade and the US blockade, naval blockade, things have sort of changed. Now, was that the objective Was that a secondary objective of America? I don't know. Was that a secondary objective of President Trump in going to war with Iran? Again, 90% of Iran's oil is sold to China. So despite the U.S. sanctions against Iran, um, because America says, well, Iran is a state sponsor of terror. In any event, these were just things that I observed, which I noticed that the strikes by President Trump against these nations, ostensibly the pretext has been drug trafficking in case of Venezuela, and terrorist activity in the case of Nigeria and Somalia, and Iran, in addition to disrupting, circumventing, or terminating Iran's nuclear program. Uh, these are all significant trading partners with China, and they are, nations and major sites of vast oil and rare earth minerals deposits as strategic areas in terms of trade and the economy of the future. So I will do further videos and I will stop here. My name is Olorotimi Osha, and I'll keep you posted. Thank you.